All right, so welcome to our newest business spotlight. Today we have a very special guest. He not only crushes it when it comes to content creation, but he's an amazing breakdancer and he's a really stand-up guy. I want to introduce you to Matt Rodriguez, aka Matt R Visual. I actually met this man through a podcast that we were doing for someone else, and he made a hell of an impression. So thank you for hopping on here, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Also, I recently just, not to correct you, but I recently changed my handle to Matt Rodriguez. I know it's on the bottom there, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I dropped the Matter Visual. Long
Yeah.
story, but
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I've always known you like that's like
no, I
that
know,
was
I know. Everybody calls me
always
that
under
still.
handle that I've known them from before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely Matt Rodriguez.
No.
He's if you haven't checked him out, you definitely gotta go check him out on YouTube and definitely check out his stuff on Instagram. It's really, really great. And he's actually been in the agent space as well for a while. He has a lot of agents that he assists with their content creation. Do you want to tell our audience a little bit about your story getting into video creation? I know you and your wife work hand in hand. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, without going too crazy, so I've always been into cameras and filming and making content. Although at the time that wasn't like a thing, right? Like content wasn't a household word. During my breaking years competing, I would, always record every single training session, review the tapes, right? Even in football and sports, people review the tapes. So
Hmm.
it's the same thing. We would review the tapes. Oh, my leg wasn't straight on that one, or I got to change the position on this thing, or
Yeah.
oh, I see something else I could do out of that. It's such a powerful thing, and it just goes back to the concept of visualization, right? So through that, taking that, making little reels, not Instagram reels, but making little demo reels of my, I do a yearly recap of like, all the competitions I went to, win or lose, whatever, didn't matter, just my best stuff, right? So it wasn't until probably about 2010 until I filmed my first wedding, and it was just like a family friend. I didn't even, it was not on a DSLR. It was on like a $200 camcorder. Everything was super low budget, but I put it together. I put the edit together, and it worked out. I mean, I wasn't getting paid for it. It is what it is. Um, but even then, I didn't really get into the commercial space of charging for content until about 2017. I shot my first official like paid wedding, and then the year after that, I went full time into creating content, right, for entrepreneurs. Now, and ever since then, like you said, I've been interacting with agents and real estate professionals, mortgage brokers, things like that, over the course of the last 5 years. It wasn't intentional. I didn't intentionally say I'm going to go into real estate. I think what I started to do was I went on Instagram and I went on a hashtag binge. Like I was searching all the little hashtags for the nearby towns, business, and I just stumbled on someone building a project, and I was just
Mhm.
like, oh, real estate, money. There's got to be money in real estate. They got to be able to afford to pay for services, right? It's like common sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I started DMing like 100 people, and only a handful of people got back to me. One person actually said yes, and that was the beginning of my journey. That was like February of 2018,
Oh,
and
wow.
I never looked back. Like yeah.
Awesome. So, the content that you were, was there a specific type of content that you were kind of leaning towards originally?
Yeah, so originally I was, the micro content thing wasn't really a thing. It kind of just started, but there was no reels. There was no, you need to put out 30-second video every day. Like it wasn't that kind of hamster wheel. I come from like the YouTube vlogger era where it's like, the Casey Neistats on all, just where you're putting out tutorials and long, you just long form, man, like 5, 10, 15 minute stuff, travel vlogs. So when I came into it, that was the first way we would make. It would be like, all right, we're gonna do a weekly vlog. We're gonna meet up and we're gonna do a weekly vlog. And then we did a few small pieces for Instagram, but it
Mhm.
wasn't like the main focus. The vlog was like, oh, we're gonna make it cinematic. There's gonna be slow mo. It's gonna
Mhm.
tell a story. And if you go back to when I used older concept with Handsome, that's how we did it. I'm sorry, we would do a main vlog plus his podcast, which was all long form, and then
Mhm.
we'd have a few small pieces to go on Instagram and push people to go click on the long form content. So that was always the play, and it hasn't really changed much because really when it comes to long form, it's all about nurturing. So anybody can make a quick video like, hey, here's what you need to do to make $1 million this year, and it's all BS, right? Because like did this person actually do this, and how do you do this? So you have to go into in depth, create longer form content to make people trust you and show, oh, okay, he's really about that.
Yeah, he's
So
actually really breaking it down. So
yeah,
I feel like shorter content always supports the longer content, right? So it's like you kind of put out the shorter pieces to kind of push people to the longer pieces, so they're
yeah,
actually engaging with you on a more intimate level.
yeah, exactly. And back to our earlier conversation, off camera, that is the stuff that the right people will gravitate towards, and they'll get to know you, and they'll fall in love with your brand, and be advocates for you. So that's why I always say like long form is still relevant. And I think that we've gone so far into the short form content that people kind of forgot how to do long form.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, I also feel that some people are kind of doing it more for like that clickbaity feel, but they're not
Yeah,
actually generating the content that's going to leave lasting impressions or actually
yeah,
help somebody. It's kind of just like, hey, look at me, ah ah ah, and then it's
yeah,
over, right. But you kind of have to start with the end in mind, where what's the whole point of you making this video, right? Are you
yeah.
add value to a specific customer, client, past client, so on and so forth? Like, what are you actually trying to accomplish? I think that's a big thing. And talking about topics, how do you research topics to ensure that, like, accuracy and relevance, but also that you're going to drop like educational pieces, right? Like, how do you figure out what's relevant, like where people are and what they want to learn about? Like, how do you find these different topics?
Right. So it's kind of like a multi-pronged approach, right? So one way is to actually see what people are putting out, right? Because a lot of times I'll be scrolling and I'll see something, I'm like, oh, I'll save it to a folder, right? So I save things to a folder, and it's not that I'm going to go to their video and copy it verbatim or anything like that. It's just if they're talking about a topic that I have knowledge in, there's something in there, there's a gap that I can fill within that space, right? So um, that's for more for micro, but even for long form stuff, if you go on YouTube, YouTube will actually suggest things to you. So if you type in, I don't know, real estate agent Long Island, and see what it suggests, like it kind of nudges you of what's hot. And there's other tools you could use like Google Trends. A lot of people use SEMrush as well to see what topics are hot right now. But aside from actually going into YouTube and Instagram, and I do a lot of my own personal experiences. Like I keep a journal of my own ideas and thoughts, my own genuine thoughts and ideas.
Mhm,
Now, are you going to be the only person that's having this idea, this thought in the world? That's impossible.
mhm,
But you're going to be the only person that can explain it the way you explain it, right?
mhm,
Because in my opinion, everybody's sort of teaching the same thing online, right? Let's just say what it is, right? Whether it's digital marketing, content creation. So it's really a matter of you're just trying to attract your people, the people that vibe with you, and that's what I think is really dope about just being a content creator now is that you can you can find those people because they exist, right? And I could be teaching the same thing as somebody else, but they could be teaching the same thing I'm teaching. But because maybe you felt like you vibe with me more, or you like my approach, you like the way I explain things, you might book me for coaching or book me for
mhm.
services. So it is what it is. But I just say that because people are always looking for the magic bullet. Like, oh, I need this. What's the magic strategy? It's like there is no magic strategy. There's like 10 different things you should be doing for your business.
Mhm.
And that's just on the front end. We're not even talking about on the back end of what you should have set up. In terms of like automations, follow up, and all that, which a lot of people don't do.
Yeah.
Even myself, I didn't do it until these past like 18 months. I didn't start really doing, you know, the level of like email follow up that I should have been doing. Um, and it's just super important. But to your point, yeah. So there is two levels. So it's researching actual topics that are I guess either trending, looking at what updates. So let's say I'm in the social media space. So what current Instagram updates are there? What is going on with YouTube? Like YouTube Shorts is now a thing, right? So we could talk about that. But
Mhm,
it's also about you digging into your own personal experiences and your thoughts, and then seeing how you can market it, via your title or via like how can I make this valuable? That's the question I always ask myself. When I get an idea and I feel convicted about it, I'm like, how do I make this valuable to somebody else? You know
mhm.
what I mean? And then that'll help you dictate your messaging and how you come across on camera. Because I
Yeah.
think a lot of times people are waiting for like they want to ride trends, but at the end of the day, trends will get you attention, but it's the stuff that you really dig deep with it's going to make people stay and make people want to actually do business with you. I think beyond anything else.
Yeah, and you
You
said
know?
something that kind of like struck a light bulb in me. When it comes to like being a real estate agent, when you're looking for those trends, right? Like for example, one thing that I noticed that really helped like get me a lot of engagement with other agents was I started talking about the market shift, right? And how this is not something that's new. And I noticed that a lot of people are like have that question. So if you can highlight something like you said, that is kind of like a pain point that your clients might have, you can just shine in and show your expertise. It's not like you're going to serve them a different product than any other real estate agent, but they might vibe with the way that you speak and educate a little more efficiently, right? Like they may relate to how you say it rather than how someone else is educating. So I think that was like the point you were trying to get at in regards to,
Yes.
yeah. So I think that's a big highlight right there, that be but just by being in the space enough and then educating yourself, you can also relay that information. It doesn't have to be something that's new under the sun. I feel like everybody's trying to be like that first to bat, but at the same time, by you showing your own experience that has nothing to do with anybody else is also great as well.
Yes, 100%. And I think everyone in the beginning copies. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you do, what you start in. Like when I started dancing, like you want to be like the best guy that you idolize, right? Like you want to be like the Ryan Serhants or whoever is the hot person, right? But at the end of the day, that's they have their source of power is their individuality. Just like your source of power is your individuality. So
Mhm.
again, yeah, everything there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to marketing and all that. It's just important to understand the fundamentals and how it applies to your unique brand and unique situation.
Mhm. Is there any tools that you utilize to help you like just jog ideas? Because I know like OpenAI is like a big one now. Like people are asking like, what should I write content about,
Yeah, I
right?
haven't used that.
Um, you haven't used it yet?
No, I haven't touched it yet.
Yeah, no,
I was playing around with Chat GPT the other day, and I was like, I still have to get familiar with it. I
mhm.
see people writing entire blogs with it and whatnot. I'm sure it's very helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't played around with AI too much.
Yeah, so I've been playing around with it, and I actually did like I did a blog. I didn't write it through Open AI, but just like breaking down like simple things that it could help you out. And one of them was marketing content in regards to figuring out like jogging ideas. Right, some people don't have any idea of what they want to like make a video about. I feel like, and sometimes just having like a list in front of you, it's just like, oh, I can talk about this, but then put my own little flavor onto it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Uh, but another one that I feel like is good, I'm not sure if you use it. I think it's called something, was it Answers for the Public or Public?
yeah, I've used that. Yeah, I've used that. There's another one too. I can't remember. I think they discontinued it, but I can't so off top. I haven't used it in a while because of that. But there was another similar one that was actually better, but for
Mhm,
some reason, yeah, I forgot the name of it right now off top. But that one's really good. That one they give you, questions that people are asking.
mhm,
Again, those are really good starting points. But in the end, it always comes down to you injecting your personality into the thing.
mhm.
You know what I mean? And I think you guys do a great job of that. Like you guys are talking about like back to real estate real quick. So like you
Yeah.
said earlier, like every agent is offering kind of the same thing, right? From a product. Let's say if you were a product, like okay, the person is gonna get the same result with you they would get with any other agent per se, maybe. But maybe you're the one that's getting to their eyeballs. You're the one that's getting their attention. So obviously they're gonna book you. They're gonna have a conversation with you, right?
Yeah.
So that's why individualism is still super key in your own personal brand because it's called a personal brand for a reason, right?
Mhm,
So, because we could talk topics and looking for what the hot trend is, but in the end, like that stuff can be outsourced, right? You can't really outsource
who
you.
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I have a team under me. I have a small team. I have two editors. I have a person that does admin and research for me. So when
Mhm,
clients come in, I have them do a bulk of that. I obviously have SOPs that I show them what to do, but I sort of outsourced my brain for that because for me it's more like I want to focus on the strategy over topics, right? I focus on the overall strategy because the topics are the topics. You're talking about what's going on with the market right now is a pretty stale topic in general. It's not a bad topic; it's relevant, but that's not what's ultimately going to set you apart from the next person. You know what I
100%.
mean? So, I mean, I know you know that because you actively do this. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's my thought process.
No, 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 definitely. And you mentioned strategies, but you didn't really dive in too deep. I would like to dive in a little deeper in regards
Sure.
to engaging with your audience, right? The importance of that, right? So, what strategies do you use to kind of engage with your audience? Do you just hop in their DMs? Like, how are you like
I don't do
nourishing
cold.
that relationship?
Yeah, so I don't do cold DMs. I was thinking of actually, I'm going to be setting up. I'm going to test out automations for sending a DM when someone follows you immediately, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But I don't want to get blocked the spam or anything like that. But right now, no, I don't do cold. I mainly do a lot of stories, a lot of polls, and then based on, like, for instance, I'll put out a poll. The other day I put out a poll. Who's taking advantage of 2023? Like, are you locking in? Are you locked in, or you wait until next year to do your goals, right? And I had a bunch of people respond different things, and the people that responded, I'm locked in. I sent those people a DM, most of the people a DM, and just saying, hey, like, just seeing what they have going on. You know what I mean? Because I think that when people take their time out, even if it's like to click yes or no on a poll, you still got their attention. They still stop for a moment to engage with something you did.
mhm,
So I definitely, that's my thing now, is like heavy on the stories and engaging with people that engage with my stuff on that end, because stories is like super low barrier content. It's easy to put out, but it's
mhm.
actually a great way to nurture people, in the long term for your stuff. Like, I have people that every time I put something out, I'm going to do a workshop, they opt in every single time. Like, they're
Right.
like, I don't want to call them die hard because I'm not trying to put that label on anybody, but I do appreciate the support. You have those people that rock with you regardless. They just,
Yeah.
anything you put out, any story you put out, they engage. So those people especially, I DM, and because you know what, everybody wants to be a rock star. Everyone wants to be an influencer, right? You have people that you leave a comment on a thing, they don't even like it, they don't even respond to it, they don't even, no engagement. It's like, bro, you're not a rock star. You know what I mean? So, like, unless you're a celebrity, there's no excuse to not react or engage back with people that are engaging with your content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, and
But
I want to say that I am a diehard fan. I'm always looking for stories. No, I mean I learned a lot from lighting to I was saying like I'm really like I'm a fan of your content and how you're putting it out there. I like what you're doing. I feel like it's very educational, and I like the fact that you engage back. I feel like that's something that you need to do in order to actually build that connection with your audience. It's something that I think almost everybody could do better, right?
yeah, 100%. Even me, I'm not saying, I'm not talking as if I'm perfect,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do make the effort to make sure they feel acknowledged. You know what I mean?
Okay. So
Yeah.
you say with stories, you put out polls, things of that nature. Are
Yeah.
there other platforms that you utilize to kind of generate conversation and like go back?
So I have, admittedly, I'm not big on TikTok in terms of just like the usage. It hasn't become a part of uh, my daily practice. I have not implemented TikTok like that. I will be repurposing content onto TikTok
Mhm.
within the next few weeks, but I haven't. I kind of select on the TikTok side of things. So yeah, I can't really speak to that. Mostly Facebook and Instagram. Posting on there. Instagram has been an amazing lead source for me on both my businesses.
Mhm.
So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But also, I do understand that even I have to expand to the other networks. And right now, I know for a fact that TikTok, in terms of the ads are much cheaper on TikTok to reach people than it is on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be exploring that as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
mainly Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube is what I work with for my clients.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, me personally, like, I haven't like got too much into TikTok, but I definitely know the power of it. We did try to play around with advertising on it, but I realized advertising on TikTok is completely different than advertising on Instagram, right? So it's a very viral centric. So you have to make it more fun for TikTok compared to Instagram. At least this is something that I saw in regards to advertising. I know it's kind of off topic, but I just wanted to throw it out there. So, what tools, methods have you been utilizing to kind of like put out your content a little faster? Because I know that you kind of have the we kind of talked about like we have like the long form content, then we break it
Mhm.
down. What are some tools that you utilize in regards to kind of do that?
So I use something called Frame.io, which is more of like a proofing system for video. So you send this to the client, and then they're able to leave comments. Obviously, I do that for my own content too, so my team can get to it and edit it and it'll drop comments to the exact timestamp.
Okay.
So I'll go for my content, for example. I'll go and I'll sit down and I'll look through the podcast and I'll leave comments, and I also write down the timestamps or whatever, just to be very specific. But you don't really have to, because it marks the exact timestamp of when you type it out. So it's kind of just, that's like a collaborative tool. I use Monday for my team, Monday.com for my team.
Okay, cool.
Although I've been exploring Basecamp recently, but Monday's been my thing for the past 2 years, consistently using Monday just to disperse the work and keep track of everything, because things could get crazy. Like when you're doing content for other people and content for yourself, like things get crazy, and this is just talking about this business. Like I also have the wedding business, so I track things for that as well. So beyond that, I also use Go High Level. So I use High Level for all my automations. I build out all my client funnels through High Level. It's very useful. It's pretty much all in one to basically create funnels, create SMS, email. I'm sure you know what High Level is, but it's a lot of people maybe not too aware of it. But it is also a little technical, so it's not very user friendly for people that just want a very plug and play solution kind of thing. But that's why I like it, because it's so customizable. So I've been heavy on that for the past year, actually, like really implement more automations with my clients and building out their funnels. So that's something that I'm really passionate about right now, on top of the content thing. So because in my opinion, it goes hand in hand, right? Because like once you create a piece of content, someone's going to DM you, or someone's going to look for a link in your bio to reach out to you. What happens after that? People need forms. Then you need to email that trigger. There's a bunch of different things that you should have in place, even on a very simple level, that I think a lot of people don't do.
So I think that's something I'm glad you mentioned that. I feel like this is something that most agents don't, because they feel intimidated by the complexity of it. But once you get it, right? So for example, if you're making this YouTube video, what was the point of you making this YouTube video? What was the point of you making this reel? What was the point of you making this short, right? And then when you have that in mind, right? So I want to generate more clients, for example, for real estate agents. What you want to do is you want to send them somewhere, right? You want to get that first party data. That's way more important than just having someone on your DMs, right? You want to get that first party data so that they can be introduced to what value you can really bring. And that's where email marketing comes in, right? So you can generate a better conversation with them. And I think that's something that really worked for my real estate business in particular. That's how we leverage Instagram to make six figures just from a service-based industry side. We got them off of Instagram, got them into our realm. Then we used Klaviyo. I mean, not Klaviyo. That's for our e-commerce. We used KV Core for our to generate that conversation with our clients, right? So we would get them in, we would create a landing page, they would sign up for it, or they would check out properties on that page, depending on what we were promoting at that given time. And then from there, we were able to further that conversation. I think first party data is like hands down the most important data that you can have, whether you're a content creator or whether you're a real estate agent, right?
Yeah, people don't realize how powerful it is. Just the ability to, like I said, for the past 18 months, I've been heavy on doing automations, doing more follow-up. Before that, my wife is also growing out a maternity photography brand.
Oh, nice.
Now, we would send out the pricing and hope they book the call, right? So it all be automated though. Like you inquire, you get the pricing, you get the call link. And when we saw, the calls were kind of like, it was like 50-50. But I started implementing follow-up email sequences, and just like that, you can increase your average, order value, or your average booking rate just by following up with people, because people literally forget. Like no one's thinking about you at the end of the day, right? Even when they see a piece of content, they thought it was interesting, they forgot about you right after they watched it, right?
Because they're watching our video about cats right after.
Yeah, and it happens. Like it's happened to me. Even like people, everything's like this. Everybody wants something like this. If they're interested in booking you for something and you can't get on the phone with them within 24 hours, just consider them gone. You know what I'm saying? Or if you don't capture the information and then have at least a nurturing sequence, just consider them gone. Just worry about yourself, bro. And I felt that sting before, so that's why I was like, no, this is bad. Like so that's why this past year it's been like steady, just focusing on honing in my systems and following up like super. I used to hate following up because I thought it was annoying, and I'm around so many agents and everything's like oh, follow up, right? Because in sales is what that's sales mentality. Follow, follow, follow. I was like, I hate following up, but it's just a necessary part of anything of business. You know, follow up until you get a yes or a no. Like it's simple like that, and it
Yeah.
can all be automated. So
Yeah. So, in regards to following up and coming up with what are some KPIs or key performance indicators
mhm.
um, you utilize in regards to your content to know whether something is successful or not? I know we spoke a little bit about it off camera. I thought it
Yeah,
was
what's
really
that deja vu? I was like, wait, didn't you ask for
yeah,
this?
we definitely talked about this, but it was off camera, and I was like, "Oh man, this is such great content. Let's start hit record." But what are some KPIs that you use or key performance indicators that you use to measure your level of success when it comes to pieces of content, right? Because a
Honest,
lot of people
yeah.
get vanity metrics. Oh, I didn't get any likes, or I only got 500 views or whatever. But what is more important than those things?
To me, I look at conversations. So, are you getting comments? Are you getting DMs? Are you getting saves or shares over likes? I've had content do 30K plus and gotten no DMs, no no interest whatsoever, and I've gotten videos that have gotten 2 to 3K views. DMs went crazy, the comments went crazy, because it's really all about what's resonating with people, and that's why I don't put you. And also in this day and age where there's a lot of bots on Instagram and these
Yeah,
platforms, you can't put too much weight on likes, because
yeah,
I'm not accusing any platform or anything, but something's a little weird when it comes to the likes. I feel like sometimes the likes can be inflated because they want to promote, they want to make sure you're coming back to the platform, right?
mhm,
So you might post a piece of content, it doesn't do that well. So you go, and then the next piece of content does really well, but it doesn't really do anything for your business or brand. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it's. I remember one video I did, and it got a lot of like, I don't know, third world country likes, like people from.
yeah,
I was like, that's weird. So it's better. It's always better to get the local likes, and for a small business anyway, than to worry about if you're getting like a bunch of likes versus conversations. So KPI for me is conversations. If I can have one, if I post a piece of content and I have at least one convo that can lead to a book sales call over DM, to me that's a win, because that's the kind of the point of what we're doing content marketing for. It's not just about to look cool and be cool, but it is to grow your business. At the end of the day, it is to have those conversations.
yeah. So I think that's super important to mention because we kind of are like at the end of the day we're just animals, right? So for us, we get that dopamine release when we see a like.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, I got 500 likes on this. But that's not what's important. What's important is it furthering your business, right? Because you can have a bunch of likes and still be very, very broke and unhappy, right? So think about it that way. What is your end goal? I think that's that like brought home like it's important. What's your end goal? Why are you actually making this piece of
Yeah.
content? And if you were able to have one conversation, that's a win. If you have two conversations, that's a win. If
Hmm.
I put out one video, right, and let's say it got 100 views and it had like 2 likes, and then I also was able to book a listing appointment, that's a successful piece of content. You have to
Yep.
remember that. Like, it's not about how many people saw it, it's about how many people engaged with it. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that we really need to like strike home um, when it comes to real estate agents. So I've actually had a conversation with an agent recently via DM because I put out a post about me not like necessarily being in the real estate industry anymore. Like I refer deals, I still close deals
Mhm.
in New York, but I'm not actually living in New York anymore. And I had a great conversation with this agent who was saying that their content doesn't get as much engagement as they want, right? And I was like, "Have you found any clients through social media?" He's like, "Yeah, I just got a listing appointment this week." So I'm like, "Then you're successful."
Then why should you care?
Yeah, it isn't like, and then I guess in their brain that kind of like struck home with them.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any tips on creating unique and compelling content for real estate agents in particular, right? So if somebody came to you as like, "Hey, I am not like, savvy when it comes to Instagram or, reels," because I actually know an agent who just took a half hour just to do a reel and it was like, it didn't really it wasn't really like relevant. It was like really shot badly. What are some like
I got questions.
what are some tips that you can have for someone starting off to create unique and compelling content as a real estate agent?
As an agent, so everything comes, in my opinion, and the way I work with my clients, everything
Mhm.
comes down to education, right? You can do the fun stuff too, right? But we always aim for like a 70-30 split of education versus like trending funny stuff. You
Okay.
know, so, you know, I think the biggest piece that people have trouble doing is they have trouble getting out of their head to actually just start talking to the camera. So, you know, that's why it's like so imperative that you know what you're talking about first off, because I think what they say, what's the saying? Confidence leads to confidence.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know, and but you also have you've all seen newer agents go kill it on social, right?
Hell yeah. Yeah, yeah, of
So
course.
it's like, so it does, so it's a catch 22 in a sense, right? You have the experts that are terrified of cameras, and you have the new people that are like super duper confident, and they're kind of like outliers though. So I wouldn't say that that's the norm, but definitely starting with education, because at the end of the day, when someone comes to your page, you want to build trust, right? It's cool to be the funny guy here and there, but if that's all they see when they come to your page, then like are they really going to trust you to work with them? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
To make sure that it's like the biggest purchase of their life for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So definitely education. Again, show your personality, but it always comes back to speaking on the things that you know, speaking, sharing things that you're experiencing right now, like a deal you just saved. You know, like give people updates. And I always encourage people, listen, if you can't afford to hire someone to come make videos for you, at least jump in the stories. You know, post 2 or 3 times a week, you know, a photo. But even if you don't get to post, show up in your stories. Let people know you're still alive, right? Let people know you're still, because if you really do this 24/7, then you should be showing up. You know what I mean? So my advice is always show up in the stories, start giving updates to your day, you know, and then from there it'll flow. It's like a muscle. So, you know, you're not going to bench 400 on your first day in the gym, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'll probably never bench 400, by the way, but but you get what I'm saying. Like you have to build up to it, right? And the more you do something, the more that thing expands. You know, so the more even me like, and it's like anything else, it can sort of atrophy if you stop doing it. You kind of get not lazy, but you all get out of practice. And then you're just like, oh, where's my creativity? But if you're in a constant mode of like journaling your ideas, you're never gonna run out of something to talk about.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you know the thing is people have to get off the hamster wheel. A lot of times people want to create peace and they can't wait to put it out, but you should think of it as like a library. Like let me make like 10 pieces of content and then start putting them out. That way
Mhm.
you're never chasing, you know, because obviously I'm trying to address the consistency issue, but you know, if you're just starting out, definitely stories, and talk about your experiences, talk about what you're experiencing. And again, it comes down to where you are in your career. If you're new, then you should be talking to people about the things that you're experiencing, because you know, for you to sit up there and talk like you've been in the game for 20 years is going to be impossible, right? But you
Yeah,
still could educate people on basic stuff they don't know, basic terms, basic, you know, situations. You know, you know, what's the process for, you know, getting approved or pre-qualified, pre-approved for a house, all those, you know, basic things, and then from there you start building up.
yeah. I just wanted I actually love that concept. And I think I want to take like break down one strategy that I feel like would be super helpful, right? Think about your social media as the a platform or a library, like you said, and then if you have first party data, you can leverage that in your email marketing, right? So if somebody is interested, or your client or past client or one of your Zillow leads is interested on that piece of content, they're going to click that email and then they're going to get exposed to your whole brand,
Mhm.
right? So you kind of have to like be able to put out information, obviously definitions. I actually put a tweet that I feel like is relevant, right? Like we have when you're content creating, there's like four sides. There's four types of like points of view to come from, right? You have the reporter, you have the entertainer, you have the what was the other one? You have the it's like escaping my mind now that we're on camera, right?
I saw
Um,
you tweet. Yeah, yeah, I saw.
yeah, the reporter, the entertainer, you have the because I'm saying it out of order. It's escaping my mind. Anyway, so you have like four different ways of kind of going about content, right? So are you documenting? The documentarian is one, right? Like are
Yeah,
you
yeah,
documenting your day? You should be doing all four of these,
yeah.
but you don't necessarily have to like pinpoint one, right? So
Yeah.
maybe on one day you're focusing on documenting your journey into for sale by owner, right? And how that went and what are some of the benefits of working with an agent and people, you know what I'm saying? And then if you make it entertaining enough, people will watch it. And that's
Yeah.
what you kind of want to do. You kind of want to hit all four of those things. I didn't have it, but I'll try to put it in the email below. Um, but thank you so much for hopping on and helping educate us in regards to content creation, man. I feel like um, if you haven't already, you have to go follow at Matt Rodriguez, right? Is there any other places that they can get in contact with you if they want to like maybe pick your brain in regards to services or maybe hire you on the
Oh,
content?
Instagram's good. Instagram's cool. Yeah, that's like the central hub for me right now.
All right, awesome, awesome. And if you guys have any other questions in regards to content creation or the 70-30 principle or the 80-20 principle that Amanda talks about, you can always contact us and we'll point you in the right direction. Matt is a wealth of knowledge, so go pick his brain. He will engage with you. He's really at that point where he loves educating and providing. So thank you so much for hopping on this. Also, if you haven't already, go check out Marketing Mondays, where every Monday we're going to be putting out content like this to educate you so you know what's going on, what are some trends in the real estate market, help you with your branding, marketing, and production needs. So go check that out. And we will see you in the next episode, or we'll see you in further episodes when we follow up with Matt Rodriguez when he has his whole media empire built out.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.